Hey guys, welcome back to the Calvinist Contradiction. I just wanted to say thank y'all for being involved in the discussions that are going on in the comment sections. I have actually not been able to respond or do anything for the last week. We had a ministry fly in to help us out over here in Asia Minor, and they were helping out in our church, the Mavi Church. Just kind of ministering to us, ministering to ministers, and it was just so awesome. It's called Chosen Vessel, a great resource for people who are doing ministry who need ministering to themselves. And so check it out. Also, just thank you. I know I haven't responded. I literally couldn't respond, but I wanted to jump on and make a quick video today. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I see you guys subscribing out there. Help us. Please pray about helping us to share God's love for all the world, to come up against this huge systematic of Calvinism, which is the most prominent one in Protestant Christianity of today, has the most money, the most adherents, although I would say probably secretly. I talk about that a lot. Pastors not really teaching Calvinism, but adhering to the Calvinistic doctrines and kind of not deceiving, but just not being clear about to their congregation about what they believe. And then also pray about supporting us. We do this pro bono. I am a minister. I am an overseas foreign worker, church planter, and that's what I've done. I've planted 2 churches over here and currently serving in one with a native pastor. And so pray about supporting our ministry financially. There's links in the description sections to be able to do that. It would be greatly appreciated as it really helps out running our ministries to share God's love with all of the world. And so today I wanted to jump on and make a real special video for Father's Day. I know I'm 5 days late, but again, I was in the middle of this ministry thing. And so, hey, it's kind of Father's Day week, and I'm a father myself. And I thought, hey, I really love one of my favorite chapters in all of the Bible is Luke 15. And so let's jump on here and see, is Calvinism taught in Luke 15? Now, I sat under a Calvinistic pastor over here, love him. He's one of my really good friends. And when he went through these scriptures with his Calvinistic lenses on, we had lots of discussions of what are you reading into the text here? Because that is not what it plainly says. And so you're taking, viewpoints that were written after the Bible, and then you're sticking them back onto the text, which we don't want to do. We want to read what the text is reading to us and what the ancient Near Eastern author, in this case Luke, was trying to communicate to his audience. And when we get into the book of Luke and walk through that kind of stuff in the future, we'll see Luke likes the word persuade. I mean, he uses that in Acts, which I think is really a weird word to use if it Calvinism is true. How's there any persuading involved? So go over here to the comment section, click on the link, and it'll take you to Luke 15, where we'll be reading out of. So I just wanted to open up with the opening here as we jump into this, and then we'll skip down to verse, I think it's 11. Yes, 11. It says, now the tax collectors and the sinners were all gathering around to hear Jesus. But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Then Jesus told them this parable. Suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. And so the context, that's the lost sheep. We're not going to go into that. We'll do that when we go to through 15 in the future. But it's tax collectors and sinners are all gathered around Jesus. So people who are not in accepted in the cult, using that in like the technical term of Jewish of the Jewish religion. And so the people in the cult, the leaders of the cult, again from a theological standpoint, or just really the technical term of cult, so like the believing community of Judaism, is the Pharisees and the teachers. And they're muttering, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. So they're perceiving Jesus being with people who are not in the fold. And they're not going to be in the fold. Why would he spend his time being with these people who are not in the fold? I hope this is ringing and connecting dots with people who hold to the tenets of Calvinism, because this is a really real connection point here, that there are people who just cannot be in the fold. There's people who, from the foundation of the world, will not be in the fold, who have been destined not to be in the fold of Christianity. And it seems like that's what the Pharisees and the what was it? The religious teachers are muttering here. Something, okay, not word for word, not Calvinism, not Christianity, but God's family. That is what's going on here. And so Jesus, picking up on this, runs hard with the fact of who can be a part of God's family. And that's what these three parables are, back to back to back. And I'm coming from the standpoint that all of humanity is God's family. And we're going to cast that onto this. And so you're born into God's family, and then by your own actions, by your own beliefs, sometimes it's by the culture's beliefs. So here where I am, Islam, you're born into that, and that's going to take you out of the fold of God's family. Whatever your religious belief is, or where you're placing your allegiance to, is going to take you out. So if that's not God, the real God, Jehovah God, or Jesus, then you have been brought out of the family. And we're going to kind of, put that on top of this story and say, I believe that's what he's talking about here, because this is the context that he was saying. These Pharisees are literally saying, why is he spending all his time with these people? What's the chance of these guys being in the family of God? Their idea, none. And so why is Jesus with these people? So Jesus continued. This is verse 11. Jesus continued. There was a man who had two sons. The younger one said to his father, Father, give me my share of the estate. So he divided his property between them. So who's making that decision here? It's God making the younger one say to his father, Father, give me the share of the estate. And then the father is made to, by God, divide his property between them. No, that's not what we see. We see volition of the will here. No, it doesn't say volition of the will. Okay, Calvinist people out there who there's no free will, but it is implying it here. The younger one said to the father. It does not say anywhere that God made the younger one say to the father. It's not even in the context that we're reading here. So why would it be here in the first place, unless you're putting that on the text from somewhere else? You wouldn't. You would just say, this is what the younger son said, from his own volition, from his own freedom of his will to want to be greedy, to want his father, the inheritance that he's supposed to get when his father dies. That's the context here. It's shocking. It's disgusting. It is nowhere implied that this is from God. It's from his younger son wanting his father to be dead in technical terms and taking what is rightfully his. And then the father does so because he's loving, gracious, kind, and good. So that's the father figure here. It's not so. In this, the Father is God, right? He is representing God, God the Father. And nowhere does it say here that, the Father that in the story is making his son do this, which is supposed to represent the Father in real life, making us do anything. It doesn't. So he divided his property between them is what God really does. God gives us what our desires are, whether they're going to hurt us or not. He is doing that for us. And so, not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth with wild living. Again, now it doesn't say God made him do that. He did that himself. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole of the country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him in the field to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, Calvinist, when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? Okay, literal death here we're talking about, right? That's what he's saying, a literal death. I'm going to die. And when he came to his senses. And so it was really interesting when I told you my friend who is a Calvinist taught through these passages, he said, God made him come to his senses. And that's why I said, where does it say that in the text? It doesn't say that in the text. It doesn't even apply it in the text at all, in any form, fashion, unless you have the Reform Bible, and therefore I can't help you because I don't know what it would be. Because when he comes to his senses, he says, if I said my son comes to his senses, it doesn't imply that I had anything to do with that. My son was outside. He was sulking in the sun, and he came to his senses. I'm being smote by the sun. I'm coming in here because to get cool. I didn't have anything to do with that. And this context, the immediate context here, is that he's out watching pegs, an unholy creature in this worldview, be fat and happy. And here he is going to die because he's so hungry. That is what's making him come to his senses, not God determining his senses. It's just not here. And so 18, I will set out and go back to my father's house and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. Now again, I will set out. Not God. I feel like God's making me set out. Not God made him set out. I will set out and I will go back to my father and say to him, I have sinned against heaven and against you. Not you made me sin against heaven and then against you. It could be put in there. If Calvinism is true, why isn't that put in there? God could do it, right? You wouldn't argue against God being able to do that. And so, why doesn't the text clearly, plainly, and coherently teach Calvinism in this aspect, in this form, or in this fashion? And I would say because it's bunk and it's bologna sausage, and it's not the right and proper context to be interpreting any of the Bible, but especially not these teachings from Jesus. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. And I am no longer. Who's determining he is no longer worthy? God has determined me to feel I am no longer worthy to be called your son, or is he ashamed of what he's done here? So, his volition of the will is he saying, I'm no longer willing to be called your son. So just make me one of your hired servants. God, just make me one of your hired servants. Or, hey, dad, make me one of your hired servants. Again, I know I am belaboring the point, but that's because it is so easy to do. It is so ridiculous to come in here and just have these put on my Calvinistic glasses. Oh, okay. Well, now we're adding all this stuff in there. God's actually making him do this. God's making him do this. God's making him do this. God's making him do this to do this. And no, it's just none of that. And it becomes so much easier, so much more coherent, and more of a beautiful story, in my opinion, than some, you know, righteous God who's really pulling all these strings to get him here to just give him what ultimately he could have done from the beginning. It just makes no sense, really. And so he got up. Who got up? Who made him get up and went to his father? He got up and he went to his father. Not God made him get up and God made him go to his father. Could be said like that. It is not said like that. I'm sorry, people. And so, but while he was still a very long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him, and he ran to his son and threw his arms around his son, and he kissed him. Well, while he was still a long way off, his father, before the foundation of the world, already knew that he was going to come back, and he was filled with compassion. No, it seems like his father was surprised here. Not saying that God the Father is surprised, but there is this, God is longing. He's waiting for his sons to come back. And so when he does, boom, he runs out. He shows compassion. He throws his arms around him. He kisses him. He loves him. And so, taking this little chunk of the story and then how? Before the foundation of the world, God made him to come back. He knew he was going to have compassion. He knew he was going to run to his son, all because he controlled him to come back. But in this story, it doesn't seem like the father sent out hired servants to find out if his son is coming back. It doesn't even hint at that. It's he's looking out there. He's longing for his son. He's provided every means for his son to come back. He has his house. He has a position for him to be filled. He's still his father. He's hoping he's not dead. He's waiting for him. And when he's a long way off, he sees him and he's filled with compassion, runs to his son and throws his arms around him and kiss him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father cuts him short here. Watch. But the father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Bring the ring and put it on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast to celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again, and he is lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. Now, here we go, Calvinists, because what's going on here? He says that he's dead. So we're going to do this Calvinist conflation on this. I already wrote it down. This is going to be one of them. Does dead equal like literal dead? So John Piper, what can a corpse do except for just lay there? Well, a corpse got up, in this case, got up and walked all the way back to his father and begged him for mercy. And so this ridiculous, I'm going to say stupid argument that Piper puts forth and all these other guys put, what can a dead body, what can Lazarus do except for just lay there? Well, okay, if you have this conflation of Calvinism that it is synonymous, one for one, dead equals spiritually dead, soteriologically speaking, then yes, of course. Or just dead means flat out dead, and that's it. No, dead is a synonymous is being used here to say that it is some kind of spiritual death because he's dead. He is literally going to die because he's so hungry, but then he's also dead and separated from the Father. So he is using this as separation here. Now, does it always mean that? I'm not saying that Lazarus was spiritually separated. I don't know that. I don't know the context there. It was Jesus's best friend. There's a lot of stuff going on there. I'm not going to do the Piper thing to say it's one for one all the time. I'm saying, at least in this story, it is synonymous for being separated from the Father. That's what's going on here. He was dead. He was far away from us. Literally, the Father's probably sitting there. I don't know if he's dead or alive. There's a famine. This guy probably doesn't know how to take care of his money well. He's probably dead. And then he sees him coming. He had counted him as dead and separated for him for sure from the text and from the boy's own volition. He comes back. That's why they're celebrating, right? Not because he pulled the strings, made him come back, and then celebrates him. He's celebrating because he came back. But the father cut him short. I'm no longer to call me. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. I will be, what does he say here? Make me like one of your hired servants. The father cuts him short and tells him no. He's sorry, it doesn't say no here, or you're going to get on to me. The father cuts him short and says, quick, bring everything you said, everything that I'm not worthy to be my son. I'm going to do the exact opposite and show that you are worthy to be my son, that you making the decision to come back was the right decision. And now that you are part of the family, bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebration, for the son of mine was dead. How? Through his own volition of the will. We read that earlier. And he's alive again. How? Through his own volition of the will. There is nothing here, nothing in this text that even hints to Calvinistic soteriology. Nothing. He was lost and now he's found. How is he lost? By his own determination. I'm going to go get lost. I want your money and I'm going to go do that. And now he's found. How? From his decision to be reconciled with his father. That's what happened. Does his decision to be reconciled with his father make him reconciled with his father? No. We see that from the text clearly. Okay, Calvinists? I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me one of your hired servants. That's his idea of reconciliation. Okay? The father, it was his gift to kill the fattened calf, his gift to put the ring on, his gift to put the sandals on his feet, and his gift to make him a son again. So drop it with the bologna sausage that the one who receives, the one who wants to be reconciled with the Father, automatically saves himself. It's ridiculous. It's a straw man. It's bologna sausage theology, and it's really just trying to cover up for the lack of true biblical theology. And because this is what we see here in the scriptures. You can put whatever you want in there, but this is what it says. And so they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field, and when he came near to the house, he heard the music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked, "What is going on here?" "Your brother came. Your brother has come," he replied, "and the father has killed the fattened calf because he has come back to him safe and sound." Okay, why does he kill the fattened calf? Because God made him come back? No, because he came back safe and sound. He thought he was dead and he's alive. And so the older brother became angry and refused to go in. So who made him angry and refused to go in? God made him angry, so he refused to go in? No. The older brother became angry, became jealous. That's what's going on here, and refused to go in. So his father, he just kept on partying because he knew before the foundation of the world that he had actually made him jealous, so he's just okay with it. No, that's not what happened. His father went out and pleaded with him. Again, Luke likes this word, pleaded. We're going to see it a lot when we go through Acts, pleads and persuades and these kind of words. Which are not Calvinistic words. What kind of pleading, persuading is there? There's none in the Calvinistic worldview because God has already determined it before the foundation of the world to be so. So there's no need for any kind of persuading. It's just going to be done. And so the older brother, let's see, the pleading, and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, "Look, all these years I have been slaving for you." He's got a real great disposition here. "Slaving for you, and has never uh, disobeyed your order." And I've never disobeyed your order. Who never did? God never made me disobey your order. I am perfect here. What kind of slaving could it be if God's actually making him do it? But that's not his perspective here. God, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and have never disobeyed your orders, yet you never gave me even one young goat, so I could celebrate with my friends. Yet you, not yet God never made you give me a young goat so he could make me celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours who has squandered your property with prostitutes comes home, you killed the fattened calf for him. He's pissed here. He doesn't like this. I'm sorry for my guys in the UK. Doesn't mean he's drunk. He's mad here. He's not happy with this, with what his father had decided to do. "My son," the father said, "you are always with me, and everything I have is yours." Because you are always with me. He's not saying God has made you always with me here. You are always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we have to celebrate and be glad because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and he's found. There's the second time we see this. Okay, we're going to harp on this just a little bit more because if you listen to these Calvinistic guys, they always say, um, what's his name? Is it Derek Webb? He was, part of this huge Christian band in the 90s, and now he is an atheist. And when you listen to him, he says, "Oh, I want to be in a relationship with God, but I am a consistent Calvinist. I held to Calvinistic doctrine, and if God wants me, he will come and change my allegiance to be a part of him." This is what he says. He's not a Christian anymore. And then he goes, and so what can a dead man do? Being consistent in Calvinism, what can a dead man do? "I'm literally lying on the morgue table waiting for God to come and change my desire." That's what he said. That's consistent Calvinism. Bologna sausage. Okay, because right here, what can a dead man do, John Piper? He can get up and he can walk back to his father and ask to be reconciliation. What can a dead man do, John MacArthur? What can a dead man do? Um, any of the, R.C. Sproul, any of these other guys, John Calvin, is get up and walk and ask to be reconciled back to his father. Even saying, "I just want to be a slave in your house. I want to be, the one at the door. I don't even need to come all the way. I just want to be reconciled back to you." And what does the father do? Before the foundation of the world, already predestined him whether he's going to be in or not? Or does he respond to that reconciliation? Again, not by the son getting up, the dead man getting up and walking and asking for reconciliation is he made right. He is made right through the means that God provided. which is the cross, which is Jesus's blood shed for the atonement of all sins for everybody who would be willing. John 20, 30, 31, that all these things that are written in this book is that you would know that Jesus is the Messiah, and that by believing in him, you would have uh, life in his name. That's what this is all about. That's what this scripture is about. That you would see who God is, the God of reconciliation, not based on your decision. You need to make a decision to be reconciled back to him. But that doesn't change how the reconciliation happens, which is at the cross. So, Calvinists, drop the bologna sausage, drop the things where you say, oh, you earn your own salvation by asking for reconciliation. That's not, the means is not the same as the asking. The means is done. Can't change that. The asking is present, future for whosoever may ask will inherit eternal life, not for whosoever was chosen before the foundation of the world. Once you do ask, you are chosen before the foundation of the world. That's how it works. Y'all put the cart before the horse, and that is when we'll get into Romans and walk through it step by step, which will be the next one that we do, the next book after Genesis. So thanks for sticking with me through this Father's Day special one. Love you guys. Again, pray about supporting this ministry. Share these videos, like them, help us to spread the love of God, the love of the Father, who is the God of reconciliation, as we just read in the text, with the whole world. That's what we're doing over here daily with the members of the Islamic faith in Asia Minor, and we are seeing God move powerfully among the people, and people actually responding to the call of Jesus. So we love you guys. We will talk to you soon. Please keep the comments coming in the comment section, and I will get on here and respond to some of them as soon as I can. Love you guys, and we will see you next week for another episode of The Calvinist Contradiction.